lost it, but went there. Texas, 2011, not a huge market team down there money-wise. So, and you look at the Mavs, they snuck in, and they look what they did. You look at hockey, the 8 seeds won 2 Stanley Cups recently and been to the finals. So they're looking at other teams saying, why not us? And that's what's hurting them.
Look at
and
that.
If anything, I think the Caps winning the Stanley Cup kind of hurt the Nats.
Oh, yeah.
The clubhouse
now they're the
is
lovable losers.
Terrible there, though. I mean, look at the Kinsler thing and all the drama that became of that, and then with the Sean Kelly thing, and he ends up with Oakland, and wouldn't it be ironic if he gets a ring this year? And it just seems like there's a lot of disarray behind the scenes, and I really think they need to fire Rizzo and get a new general manager in there. And I don't know if Martinez will get fired. It'd be
he needs to be fired.
Yeah, it'd be the second year in a row they fired a guy after 1 year. It was Dusty Baker a bad manager?
Awful, one of the worst managers.
Dusty
of all time
Baker was a bad manager in Cincinnati too, and Chicago. Everywhere he went, he's been bad.
Yep, riddled with talent, can't figure it out, can't do anything in the postseason. Literally has zero critical thinking skills.
Okay,
my favorite memory of Dusty Baker is getting no hit by Roy Halladay in the postseason.
My favorite is just every time that something bad happens, just like smiles, and throws his hands up, like when they get your number sometimes every single time. It's amazing. Just look at this, unbelievable every time.
As bad in my book as Ron Washington is, and Ron Washington was a horrendous manager.
Was he?
Yeah, he's Bobby Valentine bad.
Awful. He did not. He couldn't run a pitching staff to save his life. He was 10 times worse than Farrell was. He got to 2 World Series because the lineup carried him, like absolutely carried him. Josh Hamilton had to have an MVP season. Michael Young had to be Michael Young and hit 300 and do his thing. And then they got Adrian Beltre and Elvis Andrus to back him up. So. If you look back, those offenses drove those 2 World Series runs.
I didn't watch it close enough to be able to break it down like you just did, but I don't know. I just felt like he was a player's manager. It seemed like from afar, and guys played for him. And I don't know. I thought he seemed like he had a positive impact on the field, but he had his drama off the field because he was doing the blow and the fucking infidelity thing too. So
the only good thing that Ron Washington ever did was basically get Ian Kinsler to be Josh Hamilton's like watchdog, just make sure that he stayed out of trouble, and that winded up winning him an MVP.
Oh, okay, I could see that. Yeah, I don't know. He got there twice, so I don't know. I just thought he was interesting, but you're probably right because he hasn't been remotely close. I haven't heard him being a finalist for any job, since he left Texas.
I think he's the third base coach in Atlanta.
That sounds about right.
Or is he?
Hey,
I thought it was Oakland.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty sure he is actually.
Okay.
Before we go, one last topic here. Was there a worse managing World Series than Ned Yost versus Terry Collins ever?
The worst.
That is the worst, right? Like the 2 worst managers in the league at the time. Well, some of them, like top 5, both in the World Series at the same time. I can't think of another World Series that had 2 awful managers in it.
Well, because at least in most World Series, you have one good manager,
Yeah.
Like, whether it was Farrell, Matheny, I think Matheny did an actually really good job in his time in St. Louis.
Yeah, Matheny was good in St. Louis.
Whether it was, who was the manager in Colorado when Tito was in 07?
Clint Hurdle.
That's a good question.
No, it was Clint Hurdle.
Oh, there you go. Great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and he's been, I think he's a good manager. He just hasn't had...
He's a phenomenal hitting coach.
Yeah.
Phenomenal hitting coach. And I think he's done well everywhere he's gone, honestly.
Yeah,
so,
it's just been small market teams every time. So, like Showalter, he's older now, and the trend is younger, but he could do a lot with a big market. And I thought Yost was all right. Terry Collins was terrible.
Horrendous.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was so bad he made Yost look all right. That's how bad Terry Collins was.
Yeah.
He took distraction by saying, wow, Yost is making some decent moves tonight. In reality, you're like, what is going on?
In reality, it's like, no, he's just making the logical moves that Terry Collins is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought he's another guy that Yost is, that the players just kind of play for. And granted, he had a great bullpen to work with both of those years. And, that was basically what got them the World Series. I don't know. I don't think he's too bad. He's kind of hokey. I mean, he'll say stupid shit like in 2014 when they lost Game 6 to the Giants. His response was, "Well, who wouldn't want to play Game 7?" Like, who wouldn't want to win a World Series?
Organization.
Yeah, exactly. And we all knew if Bumgarner got in Game 7 with a lead, it was over.
Over.
Yeah,
he either would have hit a walk-off home run or he would have just pitched a shutout.
So here's a quick question before we go. If the Red Sox do wind up miraculously, or not really miraculously, but graciously winning the World Series, what's the best comp team in the last 30 years? Is it the 2016 Cubs?
Yes.
Just wire to wire, the best team?
Yeah. And then you have to go back to the early Yankee teams in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're a legit powerhouse, and they've been all year, and they're only getting stronger.
We knew the Cubs were going to be a powerhouse because they got to the LCS the year before and
got swept.
Yeah, but they got there though, and then they kind of loaded up a little bit, and I just knew from opening day that was going to be basically the front runner for the National League side. And earlier this year, I mean, I like the JD signing, but nobody really knew it was going to be this good, and everybody was... I mean, I was really worried about the Yankees with Stanton and Judge coming off a runner-up.
Yeah, it was Murderer's Row 2.0.
Yeah, so that to me... I mean, I think the Red Sox are a bit of a surprise, really, compared
Maybe
to...
going into it, but after the first month when they went 16-2, I think everybody was like, oh shit, this team's back.
Well,
nobody expected them to be this good. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, we didn't get the lead for the final time until early July, because the Yankees went on a disgusting run too. They won 17 out of 19, through mid-May.
Oh yeah, they went on a really good run. But the thing was, the Red Sox kept with it, and/or was beating them the entire time too. When it was just like, wow, the Yankees are showing that they're Yankees, but this Red Sox team, they keep hanging around.
Yeah, what was we were down, I think 5 was the worst that it was, I think. We didn't...
Yeah, I think it...
Yeah, early June, mid-May through mid-June wasn't our best, our best.
That was around the Oakland series when they lost 3 in a row, too.
Yeah, we were 16-16 at one point, and that was when the Yankees were 17-4.
Yeah.
And in their last, whatever games, and we were losing a few games, but that was when the Yankees were playing nobody, and we were just going through injuries and DFAing Hanley, and Pomeranz was in and out and hurt, and Wright went down, Bogaerts went down. Who else went down? Price went down. So
I think this team is comparable to the 2013 Red Sox. Really, I mean, Ellsbury was really good that year. Big Papi was still very much a force.
2007 too, honestly.
In the aspect of 2013, in the aspect of we knew they were going to be good, but we didn't know they were going to be that good. Yes, I totally agree. Yeah. Now that we know what this team is and how they've literally been basically in first place for 3/4 of the year, it is more comparable to 2007 because wire to wire, they've been the best. But
just a dominance factor.
To start the year out, you looked at the roster and you're like, this could be a good team. This should be definitely a 90-win team, and definitely, if the Yankees struggle, win the division. But if not, win the wild card and probably win the wild card game. And, then we'll see what happens. And then all of a sudden, just like in 2013, we're like, we keep winning these series 2-3, 3-4, 2-3. Let's just keep doing it. All of a sudden, you're like, all right, this team's in first place forever. Okay, Koji's here. He's really good. All right, Ortiz is hitting 1 million home runs. All right, this team's legit. I think that kind of happened to the Red Sox, too. After that 16-2 run, you had that 16-16 run. Then they went on another ridiculous run and haven't looked back. And I think at that point, it turned over from this team could be good this year to this team's going to be historic this year.
Right.
It's kind of a culmination of all three of the teams, honestly. Like,
yeah, it really is. It's got the charm of 04, it's got the dominance of 07, and it had that beginning roster of like, this team's on the up as 2013.
And the funny part is it's kind of got the hesitation of 04. Like, we still don't know if this team can win a playoff series, so it's kind of like lingering in everybody's head a little bit. Yeah. So,
like, can they beat the Yankees in 04? Can they get past them? And now it's just like, can Price and Sale and Mookie like have a good postseason? It's very similar.
That team was so tough though in 04. It's just totally different now. The way the players are wired. I mean, Schilling had the makeshift surgery on the clubhouse table or whatever, and Pedro was just as tough as they come. I mean, he was just a little guy. I mean, he'd be the smallest guy on this Red Sox rotation if he were still pitching today. And I mean, Derek Lowe, I just Kevin Millar, there's just no comparison really. It's a different world, literally. And
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So,
but the characters are still there. You got the camaraderie. You got Holt and Benintendi's friend love ship there. Basically, you got JD just being that absolute house. You got Sale, who is super intimidating and doesn't back down from anybody. And you got some guys that bounce around and keep the clubhouse loose. So it's comparable in that aspect. But when it comes to the actual characters of 04 and their mental and physical toughness, there's no comparison.
Yeah. Hopefully they get there, though. Lou Merlone had the quote of the year last year, and right after the Price-Eckersley thing, he said, if this team isn't tough enough to take criticism from Dennis Eckersley, they're not tough enough to win in October. And we weren't. And the way Pedroia had that meltdown at the start of that final game, and then
I hated that.
And then Farrell got tossed. Yeah, that's just not a good look. That's a team with a clubhouse that just doesn't have it together. And
yep, and that was a lot of Farrell too.
100%. Yeah, mostly Farrell, I would say. But
yeah, Farrell and a few slugs in between there.
Yeah,
Hanley being one of them.
Cora's having a similar effect to Francona. He's a player's manager, and his communication seems to be pretty good with them. And yeah, Cora said something interesting about Francona. It was right before Game 1, and it was on WEI where Joe Castiglione interviews him like right before the game starts. And Cora says, I'm really impressed with the way Francona handles the media, because he has a way of saying a lot, but not really giving you very much at the same time. And he said he wishes he could be more like that, and that's what he takes from him. And but yeah, I just he's much closer to Francona, obviously, than he was Farrell. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so. Yeah, well, we reached our magic hour 40-something, so I guess we'll call it and come back Sunday night to talk about the 80th series of the year with the Rays, because that's what it feels like.
It does feel like that. Hopefully another 2 out of 3. Predictions real quick, wrap up. I think 2 out of 3 just because of the uncertainty of Velasquez and the bullpen day.
Yeah.
2 out of 3, I think they lose the Snell start.
With Eovaldi. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
That's the safe answer. Like I said, this is where you kind of miss Sale, because just having him in there with a Porcello, you can kind of give Eovaldi the benefit of the doubt if you want to boldly predict a sweep, but can't do it right now.
It would be nice to have him match up against Snell, too.
Yeah. I mean, who knows if we win that game, but I mean, if Eovaldi goes 6 or 7 strong, then to me, that's a win. So.
Oh yeah, got to take 2 out of 3. Yankees are playing the Orioles, so got to keep pace with them because we don't want to get swept and be only 6.5 up.
Absolutely. All right, guys, have a good night, and we'll be in touch throughout the series.
All right, see you later,
boys.
Episode 74 in the books. So, I guess 75. That's a milestone. That'll be the next episode. So,